Actually,
You don't have
there's-
to read them this evening.
Yeah, I don't think, I don't want.
Yeah.
Ready to go. Yeah, we should change that tonight.
Thank goodness, Marie wouldn't be able to
I
read
want
it.
to talk to you about something before we leave.
Okay.
Later.
All right.
Not pointing fingers.
Oh. Oh, everybody over here should see me.
Everyone had the mic on?
You too.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Troy City Council Finance Committee meeting. This is January 23rd. It is 6:01. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilmember Keel.
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember McLaren.
Present.
Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento.
Here.
Councilmember Casey.
Present.
And Council President Steele, also president. And I'm also present. We are all here. Before we have the public forum, I'd like to invite my colleagues to join me in a special presentation.
And the mayor.
Is the mayor here? Okay, the mayor.
And of course, we'll.
Like to invite Ken Crow forward, please. Well, you sent me the email and that opened up the whole dialogue here. Something like this? Well,
Had my going away party today. And he said, oh, is the county legislature going to do something? And I said, are you out of your mind? Because I have a different relationship with them.
well, this is the portion of the city council meeting normally, which we call good news. I'm going to say that I'm going to say it's not good news for us. It's good news for Ken, but it's not good news for us. We have had the pleasure of working together for decades.
I've covered Troy for, well, this is going into my 18th year, so we won't get very far. I've known everybody.
Were you at the county when I was at the county?
Yes.
Yes. So early 2000s.
2007.
Yeah. And I left in 2008. So needless to say, it's been a wonderful, wonderful time together. Ken is a tremendous reporter, the likes of which we're not going to see again. Sorry, ladies, but he, the Times Union is definitely losing a tremendous asset. He has covered our city and county in great detail, and you've informed the public in a way that I'm afraid we're not going to duplicate. So on behalf of the city council, members Casey, Keel, Brosnan, McLaren, Vera, Soriento, and myself, Steele, on this 23rd day of January, 2025, the Troy City Council presents this certificate of commendation in recognition of Ken Crow upon his retirement and for his years of dedicated service to the Times Union newspaper and our community.
Well,
So
thank you very
I'm
much.
going to pass the mic.
Yeah, I just wanted to say briefly, not only did I always enjoy seeing Ken professionally and going over and having conversations, but Ken and I would run into each other all the time in the city of Troy as he went back and forth across the city working, and it was always very enjoyable. I loved our conversations. I hope it doesn't end. I'm not sure if you're taking off to Florida or what you're going to do.
My dermatologist said never go south. He said if you go to the Caribbean cruise, you'll just be covered with whiteheads and they're very pink.
But thank you very much. Thank you and congratulations on your retirement.
It's gonna be careful to say the time. you're talking, because it gets around the community.
Yep.
All right, so earlier today, knowing that Ken's last day was today, I bumped into Lori Van Buren at an event, and Lori said, "We're having pizza at noon. Can you swing by?" So of course, I tried to swing by, squeezing something in, and it didn't work out. Had to meet with Steve Barker on an issue. So I didn't get to formally stop by and have pizza, and I'm sure Casey's very happy about that. But saying that, Ken and I go back many, many years. My days when I first ran for city council, I ended up winning in the mid 90s, and Tim O'Brien was covering the city, and Ken was up in Saratoga and would dabble into county and city politics, and then fast forward, end up covering the county, and then dabble into city government again. So here we are again. And Ken, on behalf of the people of Troy, listen, we didn't always see eye to eye, go figure, but that's Ken's job. And Ken was always fair from what I saw. It is bittersweet because when you have someone like Ken, they know the institutional knowledge, they know the history of Troy. So to take new reporters, into that history to explain something so simple is sometimes very difficult. Samantha, Erica, big shoes to fill, but you're filling them. Ken's a legend in the Times Union in his own mind. I'm kidding, but Ken is a legend around newspaper and journalism. History buff. He's got it all, genealogy, drives out to Hudson, drives out to Skodak, looks up the history, and we love you, Ken, we do. And it is bittersweet for the newspaper industry. It's changed over the years. How many employees did you have back in the 90s to today? So
When I started, we had over 600 employees, 45.
right. So the industry has changed. Ken has changed with it, but he never changed his motto to be fair and to show up. And you have shown up, Ken. And on behalf of the people of Troy, in recognition of your distinguished career and dedicated service to the Times Union and readers alike, we honor your remarkable contributions as a journalist and a storyteller. Your integrity, your passion, your commitment to excellence have left just an incredible mark on the newsroom and the community. We want to thank you and celebrate your legacy of professionalism you have provided his illustrious career of over 41 years. Your work has truly made a difference, Ken, and your presence will deeply be missed. And Ken and I tend to go off the record at the Dinosaur maybe every other month. We'll continue that, and I'll even buy next time. All right. Congrats, Ken. Congrats.
Carmela failed to tell everyone that. I told her back in November that I was leaving, and every press conference we were both at, she would announce that I was retiring. So we've been 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Right. Troy's a very interesting place, a challenge. Sorting out what's actually going on, it's the real challenge. But as I said to Steve, I was told today they're actually going to advertise to hire me, whether they do it, see. But, I found that, we have limited resources. You come out of one economic cloud of the 90s, just barely out of it. And, you're dealing with a lot of issues, and running any city government these days is difficult. It's hard to hire people. Those are the cuts over the year. I question whether you actually have the right size staff to do everything, but I've said that. And I'm just hoping I'm not going to endure the curse of Roy McDonald, who, when he was chairman of the Board of Supervisors in Saratoga County, he had 2 reporters leaving who had been around for a while, And he comes up and he gives them awards, and 2 months later, they show back up. But I don't plan, that. This is actually my final government meeting.
Wow.
We're working for the time future, so
Well, thanks for sharing it with us.
my last day is tomorrow.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Taller people.
How about in the middle? I'll be in the front. How about in the middle? I'm sure.
Okay.
You get the middle.
I'll stand next to my fellow.
Yeah.
Whatever Irene says.
It's just a walk.
It works out perfectly, but sure.
Okay, I'm gonna go first. Everyone ready? 1, 2, 3. You're okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll get a text, say in a few minutes.
I just sent it to them, actually.
Figure. Thank you, Sarah.
I did.
There, man. Good luck to you. That's awesome.
You got that.
At this point
You
of,
got- No, I was telling her she's got this.
at this point of our meeting, it's a public forum. We have a number of ordinances and resolutions. I believe there are copies in the back. If anyone has a item they'd like, that is on the agenda that they would like to bring forth, any comments for the council members, we'd love to hear from you. So this is your time to come forward. Please give your name and residence. Does anyone wish to speak on any agenda item this evening? Seeing none, we'll move forward with our agenda. Ordinances, ordinance 1. Ordinance declaring certain city-owned personal property as surplus and directing the office of the city controller to sell or dispose of the surplus property. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento, second.
Second.
Councilmember Keel. Discussion? Do we need any further information on this ordinance? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 1 is adopted unanimously. Ordinance 2, ordinance approving settlement of tax certiorari proceedings instituted by Rite Aid Corporation on the assessment roll of the city of Troy. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember McLaren with a second by Councilmember Keel.
Second.
Discussion on the ordinance. Did you have a question?
No, I'm kidding.
Anyone have any need for further information on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 2 is adopted unanimously. Ordinance 3, ordinance amending the 2025 miscellaneous special revenue fund balance to accept funds from the United States Department of Justice as part of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution. Does anyone require any further information other than what was provided? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 3 is adopted unanimously. Ordinance 4, ordinance amending the 2025 miscellaneous special revenue fund balance to accept funds from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the purchasing police-related equipment or purchasing police-related equipment and materials. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 4 is adopted unanimously. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract for the sale of city-owned surplus real property at 9 Hills Landing and to convey the parcel by quitclaim deed. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion on the resolution. I believe we had 2 members present at the review of this.
Yes, Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think four offers were received. The one in front of us this evening was not the highest amount offered. However, this purchaser is willing to waive inspections and title insurance, which we think will make for a, Tom can correct me if I'm wrong, but a speedier transaction.
And this was the recommendation of the review.
Yes, this
Committee.
was a unanimous recommendation by the property.
Okay,
review.
and-
Council President, I have a question.
Certainly.
Is there any type of reverter clause or anything?
I'll defer to Corporation Counsel on that.
Okay.
Apologize. We do not insert a reverter clause in sales that we do through the broker because we are getting very close to market value.
Sure.
The reason we took the second offer is because there are no contingencies that we can honor, and there's no mortgage contingency or anything like that. We also do not give, we do not warrant title. We give a quick claim deed. So,
Yeah, I
we
just,
think it's a pretty good, and we get
yeah,
cash.
no.
And we have to
great.
get cash because they can't get a mortgage and they
Yeah.
can't get title insurance.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, and that's why I just wanted to see like if there was that, if there was a reverter clause into that, and if there was, what the time frame would be and what it would be. I didn't see that. So I just wanted to ask if there was or.
Okay, we
Yeah.
insert a reverter clause in all the properties that we sell.
Yep.
That just through surplus applications.
Yeah.
Which are usually a much lower price.
Yeah.
Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
This sale is due to, well, the city acquired the property through the in-rem process.
The city did acquire the property.
Could you
through
just,
DNRM.
just for the record, state approximately how much in back taxes was owed on the property?
You're just testing my memory here, and I do not know
recall
for
it
sure.
being around
It wa-
100,000.
That's
Okay.
my memory too, that it was in that neighborhood.
Right, so the former owner then will be,
The former owner there's a procedure under law whereby the former owner can claim any surplus.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, thank you, Rick. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Resolution 1 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 2, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Colony for mutual provision of police tactical team services. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
motion.
Well, we have a tie on that one. I'm going to give it to Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on resolution 2. All in favor?
I,
Opposed? Resolution 2 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 3, resolution authorizing the fire chief to complete a 2025 rate change form for Comstar LLC, increasing the price to be paid for ambulance billing and collection services. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan with a second by Councilmember Keel. Discussion on the resolution.
Council President,
Councilmember Soriento.
I'm not sure if you can answer that. So I'm showing that there were, it was based on the amount that 50 providers or 50 people are being billed for. Are they local Because I noticed that this is from Massachusetts,
The billing, first of all, I'd like to correct something.
Okay.
I missed something in the editing. I'm not sure if I got, but we're not increasing the price that we're paying for the billing. We're increasing the amounts that we're billing for our ambulance services.
right,
Okay,
yeah.
so I
Yep.
just wanted to make that clear. And secondly, it's Comstar averaged out its 50 top providers. We believe we are one of those 50 top providers.
Okay.
And we are billing in some cases, I think $1,000 or more less than other providers of, comparable services. So we just want to bring ours up to the average billing rates.
Has it been said at all that the other 49 providers are local or like around the vicinity of Troy?
I don't have that information. I don't think they are. My guess is they are not all local because there are 49 of them.
Right,
And-
well, I mean,
Yeah.
like at least in New York
Yeah.
State or because I've noticed that Comcast is from. I believe,
Comcast is from
Mass-
Boston.
Yeah,
and
from
that-
Massachusetts, so I was just wondering
So-
about that.
Yeah, I don't have that information.
Okay.
Chief, do you have any further information on that issue?
I don't have specifics. They do have some people in New York. They are mostly out of the Massachusetts area, but these are the top 50 that they're successfully billing. It's not that we're just, they're just increasing their rates to that average. They're successfully recouping,
Okay.
the allowable
Mhm.
rates there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, we participate in multiple insurance companies or they
Yeah.
participate in multiple
Yes.
insurance companies. So it's not going to be on the actual resident
So they
that, that has insurance, but they won't take it or
What's
that's my only, that is my concern, to be honest with you.
I just, how to express this. There is provision for collecting unpaid balances from residents. Some insurance companies have limitations on how much they will pay. Medicare is one of them, stuff like that. But I do not believe, Medicare, we might accept the full amount. But Comcast only goes as far as we tell them to go, and we don't tell them to go to the max.
Now, my one last question, hopefully. If the insurance company will only pay for a certain amount, and this is normal, is Comcast gonna go after the resident for the additional amount, or are they gonna eat up the cost of whatever the insurance company is going to pay for?
Comcast does what we tell them to do.
Okay,
And
okay,
I think I was just trying to express that, that they have procedures that they follow in an attempt to collect, and sometimes they are successful. But we don't tell them to go
they
to
don't
the-
go
to the-
after
to the extreme.
to the patient for the additional cost.
Well, they
right?
do, they do bill the patient, but if the patient doesn't pay or can't pay, there's also hardship provisions.
Okay.
Okay, which we grant.
And there's
Familiar
a
with it.
difference between what's billable and what's allowable, right? So
Yes,
right. So yeah, there is a pretty significant difference there
Okay.
and that's it recognized.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
Council
Thank
President.
you.
Councilmember Farah.
What is the difference between, I guess this is basic life-saving, advanced life-saving 1 and 2,
Well, basic life support is,
or life support? Thank you.
yeah, BLS, basic life support is, just basic transports, very limited, procedures performed, maybe bandaging a wound, maybe putting somebody on oxygen, stuff like that. ALS 1 and ALS 2 ALS 1 is the lower of the two. That is the most common. That gets into our ALS modalities and protocols as far as starting IVs, giving medications, right? The majority of our ALS calls fall under that. There's a small percentage that falls under ALS 2, and that's when it gets into multiple medications, cardiac arrests, really involved calls where we're giving a significant amount of medications. So I don't know the exact number. I think like our ALS2 calls were somewhere like around 2% of our calls, if I remember offhand.
Okay, so this doesn't have anything to do with the vehicle that's
No,
responding. It
no,
has to
no,
do with
it's
the
strictly
services
level
provided.
of service,
Okay,
level of
okay.
service provided.
Council President.
Councilmember
Oh, you're
McLaren.
done?
Yes.
So is there a standard, calculation by which you, I know that you said you're bringing these up to the average. Is there like a cap at how much you can increase? Can you only do it in certain percentage increases or
No,
you're
we
allowed to just
Yeah.
change it to what you need to
You,
change it to?
whatever you guys approve.
Okay. Um. Okay, I'm glad to hear that you don't, go after.
I just want to clarify something I said. So I think it works like regular insurance billing that, if you bill $1,000, but you agree to take the insurance and the insurance only pays 600, I think you're limited by that once you take that payment.
That's what
I'm not completely familiar with the intricacies of this, but I think that's how
Yeah,
it works.
Council
That's generally
President.
how it works. Otherwise, you can't take the insurance payment.
Councilmember Vera.
Yeah, so Comstar then does work with other insurance providers, and if they're an area provider for billing services, it's entirely likely that they have, or do we know them to have negotiated rates through CDPHP and
Yes.
other local providers? Okay. So this is really the cash price is what we're looking at. Somebody without insurance would pay this full rate, but if you had insurance, your insurance provider
Well,
would have
there's-
negotiated at a lower rate with
I
Comstar.
think it also comes into our VA benefits,
Okay.
car accidents, motor, your automobile insurance, stuff like that. No, well, that comes into effect also.
Good. Okay.
Any other questions? Did you have any more information you want to share, gentlemen? No? Well, thank you. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of resolution 3?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? It's adopted unanimously. Moving on to resolution 4, proclaiming the month of February 2025 as Black History Month in the city of Troy, New York. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Keel. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember
I'd
Brown.
like to be added to as a co-sponsor.
Council President.
I would also like to be added,
Could,
Council President.
would you please make a note that I believe all council members would like to be
Yeah,
added?
that's a safe bet.
Okay, thank you very much. Any discussion on, we'll add everyone, and any comments? All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? Resolution 4 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 5, resolution appointing Commissioner of Deeds for the City of Troy, Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember
I just
Sargento.
want to make for the record that between the I believe it's the 3 Commissioner of Deeds applications. 2 of them, or one of them have provided their address. The other 2 have been extracted. I just want to know why. Are they supposed to leave
think
their addresses
usually
on there or?
They're redacted usually, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Rick, do you have an answer?
I don't know why one was included. Usually we started redacting them last year when people felt that they didn't want their addresses published,
Okay.
but we verify in the clerk's office where they make their application that they either are residents of the city of Troy or have a place of business in the city of Troy.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because 2 out of the 3 were redacted and one of them had the address and I wasn't sure.
Is it an address of place of business or
It is. It's
It
their
is.
place of business.
It is.
Yeah,
that could be why.
that's the difference.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, that's.
So that's probably why.
Okay, that's-
that answers
Just
that.
wanna- Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 5 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 6, resolution of the Troy City Council supporting a project by and in partnership with Hudson Taconic Lands. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember McLaren, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember McLaren.
I just want to say that I am happy to support something that talks about conservation of lands and waters. Because I think there's too little of that happening lately. Well,
Agreed, indeed. Rick, did you have something you wanted to share? about
Just,
this?
I want the council to be aware in the resolution paragraph itself that we've inserted a requirement that the trust get enter into a license agreement with the city of Troy before it constructs anything on city lands.
Sure. Right. Thank you. Duly noted.
Council President,
Councilman Vera?
is there a representative from Hudson Taconic Lands here this evening that wishes to speak?
I don't think so.
No, okay.
This came as a, in the form of a recommendation from Jim Bonesteel, who's the executive director.
Mhm.
And I believe that was shared with, in the memo.
Very exciting.
It is, it's an
Really
exciting project and happy to be supportive of it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 6 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 7, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Saratoga County Animal Shelter. Council President Steele, Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento,
Second.
seconded by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember Soriento.
I just want to say I am so glad that we're actually partnering with the Saratoga County Animal Shelter. I know that we've had, our city has had a challenge with the Hudson Mohawk Humane Society. And I just think that this is such a great partnership. And I want to say, I fully support it. This is great. So I'm very happy that this is happening. Hopefully.
Council President,
Councilmember McLaren.
I don't know without the city clerk here, if anyone's able to answer the specific questions. I'm just, the exclusions, things like dangerous dogs. I know they're like standard in an agreement, but rabies confinement, animals who have been displaced because owners have been, because they've been seized due to the city's action against the owners. Will those continue to go to our kind of temporary shelter that?
Initially, certainly, there are. My understanding is that the shelter has been somewhat flexible about some dogs but it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay,
But those exclusions are fairly standard.
I figured that.
They don't really want our dangerous dogs.
Can't blame them.
And they don't want to do rabies confinement generally. And so we have to live with what we have to live with,
Right.
We have an obligation to pick up dogs on the street that are strays. And sometimes, that involves, if we can give them the shelter, or Maria works with
Mhm.
other organizations that will sometimes take a dog. But if we have to house it ourselves, we have a small facility now up in 7th Avenue. So
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Council President,
Councilmember Vera.
this is an extension of a contract that we passed last year.
It's a new agreement,
New
but it's 99% the old agreement. I think they raised a few prices,
Okay.
but not a great deal.
Okay. So the only,
And they might have added some exclusions too.
that was going to be, okay, so the difference between this agreement and the previous one is the costs have increased slightly and there's some additional
Exclusions, a little bit, they opted to put in some firmer language.
Okay.
Um,
It
but
does, it
Our,
seems
our
like one of-
negotiating power is not that great.
Well, noted. It seems that, we're still in the same boat, though, that if they do not, they're not, reserving space for us, that they will take animals as long as they have the space. I did see that,
Yes,
I think. in
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
exclusions.
they're not, we don't have any reserve space
Okay.
there.
Okay.
But they do have a fairly large facility.
And just quickly, just so the council understands, the Saratoga County Animal Shelter, they put the dogs out for adoption. So the dogs are at our temporary shelter until, the time comes that they can come, assess the dogs, take a look at them. We do all the shots, and then Saratoga County Animal Shelter is one of our many nonprofits, but we have a good partnership with them. I cannot thank the clerk, the staffs, general services. Everyone came together to really, honestly, step up and address the Mohawk Hudson's, call that they weren't taking dogs. So we really pulled together on this one, and the temporary shelter, we're building a new temporary shelter, so stay tuned. It's going to be a little bit bigger. We've, talked to Ag and Markets, just about everything from ventilation to drainage, et cetera. So it's going to be at the same site. It'll just be a little bit bigger. And we're learning something new every day. It's certainly a business and an action that we didn't think that we'd have to enter, but here we are. And we're working really well handling this crisis, because it was a crisis. When you have dogs stray, you got to find shelter for them. So now we have a part-time ACO to work with Kevin. We've come a long way over the last year, but Saratoga County is awesome, and our other nonprofits, but we don't call them to keep a stray up there. We keep the strays, and then they will come get the dogs adopted. We do not want to be in the business of adoption. It's just too much. So they're just an incredible partner, and they do a great job.
Council President.
Councilmember Vera.
I see that one of the exclusions is they will not accept a dog for a rabies hold. I don't know if that's the exact term.
Confinement.
Confinement, thank you, rabies confinement. Do you know how long that is? So that those animals are held then in our facility until that confinement period ends? Is that, or until we have a way of verifying that the animal has received a rabies?
That's correct. And then we provide, the shots, any care for the animals, and then Saratoga works with us. They come down, assess the dogs, and, then they'll take them, or we'll transport, and they'll put them up for adoption. It's a great process. And like I said, every day we learn something new, with being a temporary dog shelter. So. And we want to thank the council. You're a big part of this. And, like I said, we've entered uncharted waters, and, we've done an amazing job.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 7 is adopted unanimously. Resolution 8, a resolution designating Project Road and Project Street between Campbell Avenue and Madison Avenue as Learning Way. Council President Steele. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Keel. Discussion?
Council President,
Councilmember Soriento.
I just want to say, reading all of these statements from these classes from Carroll Hill, They are all of these proposed names are very impressive. And unfortunately, we couldn't choose all of them. We had to go, we had to pick one of them, but I do want to acknowledge on the record that they are all very good proposals. And I really appreciate every classroom that participated in this. Go out of their way and provide us with the recommendations. And I'm just loving the fact that we're going to bring this into fruition. And unfortunately, though, we can only pick one.
Right.
I wish we can pick them all. That's
Right.
all.
Yeah, well, I have to confess, my personal favorite is Dorothy Street because I had the honor of meeting Dorothy Brown when I worked at Vanderheiden Hall. She was actually a resident of the Troy Orphan Asylum, which was the precursor to the Vanderheiden Hall, and therefore we brought her back as a role model for our youth, and she's nationally known, and it was a real thrill. So I have to confess, my personal favorite would have been Dorothy Street. Just as a little background on this resolution, the Troy Housing Authority Board expressed its concern about the name Project Road. It's outdated and it has a relatively negative connotation. We also heard in our public forum citizens who were offended by that. And so I'm glad that we're taking some steps. I reached out to Carol Hill and said, are you interested? Would this be a project? And they embraced it immediately. They assigned it to their 5th grade class and then had a school-wide election. So it was a great learning learning project for them to rename Project Road. So it's nice that we are involving them in this process. When we go to actually rename the street, it will involve a lot more steps. It will involve public forums with residents. Certainly will be involving 911. This is sort of a first step, maybe a honorary sort of title, but I'm anxious to hear other comments on this as well.
Council President?
Councilmember McLaren.
I'm glad to hear that we're talking about carrying this forward to an actual name change and not just a designation. I wonder if the residents should be involved in the naming. We had 4 amazing, like Council Member Sorrento said, 4 amazing proposals for these names. But I wonder if maybe now, I realize that Carol Hill has already voted on it, but I wonder if now it needs to go out to the people who actually live in this community, which I know includes the Carol Hill students, but maybe give them some input. So maybe as part of that community forum, I mean, I think it's wonderful maybe to honorarily designate it Learning Way, but then maybe before it's officially changed, invite the community to weigh in on the
Council
naming.
President.
I believe that's part of the process. I mean, it will not be officially changed without
Community input.
community input.
Okay.
So that is part of the process.
Mhm.
Councilmember Sorrento.
I do hear what Council Member McLaren is saying, but I do respectfully disagree only because when are these kids going to be able to be heard? There's an opportunity for them with their, at school to be heard on, what their ideas are, what they would want to name a street. And then if we just totally discount what they say and say, you know what, because you're children, we're going to say, let's go with what the adults say. I understand there's a process, but we should really take that into consideration of what the kids are saying. They are our future. You never know. You know, some of the kids from that school will live there. And they can sit there and tell their children in the future and say, I had something to do with this. I'm just saying, I don't think that, I mean, I understand there's a process and we always have to, you know, obviously have adults be involved with this, but we should really embrace the fact that the kids did have something to do with this. They did bring out their ideas and we should really take that into consideration and, you know, and fight for them. And even if it's just for a street sign or whatever, but that's something that, you know, they probably worked really hard on trying to find you know, the perfect idea, the perfect name of that street. And that's something we should really take into consideration, especially if we're on the floor right now, looking at their proposals. That's just all I'm saying.
Thank you. Councilmember Vera?
Thank you, Council President. I agree with Councilmember Soriento. And I don't think that we need to pause this honorary designation in order to continue with the process of properly renaming the street. Might I suggest that we amend this resolution to require the planning board to hold a public hearing pursuant to Chapter 72. I believe that's the chapter that requires the planning board to review a formal renaming of the street. So the process can continue, but this honorary designation would remain. And so if through the public hearing process, the planning board determines that Learning Way is the appropriate name, then the street would officially be renamed Learning Way. But if they arrive at another name, then that would become the official name.
Rick?
Council
Okay.
President, I just want to say one thing. As long as it's being considered that these kids did work on this and we're taking that into consideration.
I don't think, if I could, I don't think anyone is suggesting that we don't move forward with the honorary designation.
Okay.
I don't think that
No.
was what
No.
Councilmember McLaren was saying.
Okay.
I think that tonight's was to designate it honorarily, respectful of the students' wishes.
Thank you.
But knowing that there is another process involved in officially renaming it, that will require other steps. And so we have a motion on the floor. Rick, did you want to weigh in on that emotion in any way?
Yeah, and do I need to restate that motion?
I don't think you need to restate it. I just wanted to clarify the process as it's envisioned under the city code. Whenever there is a change to the official map of the city, which this would be, it must be referred to the planning board for consideration. The planning board is required to hold a public hearing, and it doesn't hurt to tell them that they have to do that either. And then once the planning board weighs in or fails to weigh in, it comes back to the council, and then the council enacts the final official name change.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this
Well,
is
then I
just
guess-
an honorary designation right now, but you're not, when you change the name, it'll be up to you finally.
Yes.
Okay, then we really do still need the amendment to clarify that the planning
I
board.
think the council acts by resolution, so if you're referring it to you should have a resolution referring it to the planning board.
A separate resolution, or can we include?
You can include it in this one. In fact, if I had thought of it, I would have included it myself.
Okay, all right. Well, we have a motion on the floor. Do we
I'll
have a
second it.
seconded by Councilmember Soriento? Is everyone clear on the motion? Okay, the vote on the motion,
This is a vote
motion
on
to
the
amend.
amendment. Yeah.
This is a vote on the motion to amend. Yes, and
Yes.
Aaron
Second it.
and Councilmember Soriento second the motion to amend. And the motion is to refer the designation, the official designation of this street to the planning board for review, and that in accordance with Chapter 72, and that they will be
Conduct a public hearing.
will conduct a public hearing in accordance with that process.
Yep.
Or something to that effect.
Well,
Or, you know, make it up as you go along.
Just always, like,
Yes,
Right.
yes.
We'll get that added.
And then there's always, and
Please-
then there's
please don't
always
quote me.
Rick, and then there's always Rick, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend that has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the resolution has been amended. Now, on the amended resolution, is there any further discussion?
No.
All in favor of the amended resolution?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution 8, as amended, is adopted. I think at this point, we could open it up to a public forum. But before we do, I believe our new controller is in the audience, and I wanted to welcome him. John, welcome aboard. James, is it James?
Jack.
John, Jack?
It's Jack.
Jack Krokos?
J-A-C-K.
Well, we welcome you and very happy you're with us and look forward to talking with you further next month, right? Excellent, great. Any other folks who wish to comment on any item not necessarily on the agenda, just a topic of interest to you? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Councilmember Vera, seconded by Councilmember Soriento. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Second, yep, I seconded. What?
Thanks, sir.
Oh. Oh,
Does it
you
make
gotta,
sense?
you gotta,
The mics are off.
Sir, do you want my notes as well, or are you okay?
Did that make sense though? So if in the end.
Got a little
planning
emotional
board
here.
decides the morning
no,
day,
yeah.
And the blue sign.
No, not
come
me.
down,